crafty people. Happy Friday. Welcome to Flosstube. My name is Jessie and this is Mislaid Pages. Welcome, welcome. There's a bunch of new folks, so hi, how are you? Happy to see you. Thanks for stopping by and checking me out. For everybody who's returning, hello again. Happy to see you. I hope you all have been having a great week. I'm not really sure. My week has not been bad. It's been filled with tiny niggling little annoyances. And I will say it that way because in the grand scheme of things, nothing that's happened this week has really been that big a deal. It's just been these like a million little things just annoying the crap out of me. But life's fine. Everything's good. I've been fairly productive craft wise. Because Essential Spouse has been working night shift this weekend or the last 3 days. It feels like the weekend. I say it's been Essential Spouse. I don't, probably none of you follow TikTok, period, but there's a TikToker and her wife, and she calls her wife Essential Spouse, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. So I might start calling Adam Essential Spouse now, because I just think it's awesome. The funny thing is, Essential Spouse implies that there are other spouses, like a non-essential spouse and a slightly essential spouse. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so the week has been fine. We're in the lull before the storm between Needlework Expo and when things actually start arriving. Most everything has been shipped at this point. Almost everything that I have pre-ordered or ordered has been shipped, and now we're just waiting. We're just waiting for USPS to do its thing. I'll talk more about Needlework Expo in a minute. But yeah, so the week has been, it's been quiet on that aspect. Work has not been too, my day job has not been too demanding this week. It's just been normal flow of things. I had a whole bunch of meetings planned and they mostly got canceled. So yay! I'm very excited when meetings get canceled. But yeah, so everything's just been kind of going and just been some tiny little niggling things that just didn't want to work right, and it's just frustrating. But yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. Like I said, I've been fairly productive cross stitching wise. So I have a whip, a work in progress, and a finish for you, and I'm very excited about the finish. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But let's see, what should we start with first? Shall we start with let's do some happy mail, and then do you want to do Happy Mail and then Needlework Expo, and then I'll talk about what I'm watching? That sounds like that's a good order. Okay, so let's start with Happy Mail. I got my latest Kate today. Y'all know how much I love latest Kate. I feel like I've been getting latest Kate like every other week lately. I don't know if it seems like that to y'all. My sense of time is really not good. My brain is not good at keeping up with how long things take and how much time has passed. So I don't always have a good idea. But regardless, I love my latest Kate. So for those of you who are not aware, Catherine Allen, the latest Kate, is an artist who does inspirational drawings or drawings with inspirational sayings and things that are geared towards supporting folks who have anxiety and depression and other mental health issues. And I love her. Her art is fantastic. It's super cute. And she always has something important and meaningful to say. And a lot of times I see these little things that she draws at just the right time. So I like to share them because you never know. I never know when it might be just the right time for one of you, because we're all going through something at some point. And there's a bunch of you, and I try to send good thoughts to all of you, but I never know exactly, who's dealing with what at any point in time. So if anything I can share might boost you up a little bit, I am happy to share it. So because you just never know. You never know when that one little thing that you shared is the thing that helped somebody survive that day, and that's important to me. So you can follow latest Kate on Patreon. She has a Patreon page where you can excuse me, you can support her with money. You can give her money to do stuff. But she has various tiers, and the tier that I support her at is the tier where I get 2 5x7s and a magnet every month, which is fantastic. I love it. But you can, put in a buck just to, buy her coffee. You can do it several levels. You can also follow her for free on Facebook and Instagram, where she shares the images that she creates. So, without further ado, look, it's like tiny little octopi in a scallop shell. Today's a better day because you exist. I love this one. This one, I think I have shared it on my Facebook page and on Instagram. This one I like to share because, like I said, you never know what somebody's going through. And sometimes a message like this is just what somebody needs to get through the day. Because, and I think part of it is it's not even just that, we're not able to stay as connected as we would like to other people, but sometimes this, excuse me, pardon. Sometimes those of us who are really strong people in general, they hide those times when they're feeling less strong. And so they may not share the fact that they're feeling insecure or inadequate or unhappy. They may not share that. So I feel like it's good to share things like this, just to let everybody know, anybody that we're connected to know that we enjoy having them in our lives. So that's that one. And this one is super cute. It's little red pandas, but they're done in sparkly purple. So, struggling now doesn't mean struggling forever. We can hold out for a better time. And this speaks to like this whole last year. And it's really weird because we're today is literally the anniversary of the last day that I was in my office at work. And it's just it's a strange kind of anniversary because we're not celebrating, and it's not. I mean, you wouldn't celebrate a thing like this, but it just feels so weird that we're still in this not quite real place. So this is the kind of sentiment we've been holding on to for the last year. And with any luck, fingers crossed, we're coming out of this in summertime or, middle of summer, beginning of fall. We'll see. But fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that everybody, acts like a responsible adult. Maybe we'll be back to some kind of semblance of normalcy later this year, but we just have to hold out. Just have to hold out. We won't be struggling forever. Just have to hold out. So those are this month's 5x7s, and the magnet is super cute too. Look at your little puppy. I'm not sure if that's a Shiba Inu. It might be a Shiba Inu. But super cute little puppy on a rainbow background. You deserve credit for all the bad days you've gotten yourself through. This is also very true. If you're struggling for any reason, whether it's depression or other stuff going on in your life, remember to give yourself credit for all the days that you've survived until today, through today. And there's another quote that pops up a lot, not necessarily from Latest Kate, but just in general, talking about, when you feel like you're never successful, when you feel like you're having a hard time making it through, remember that your win rate through today is 100% because you have survived and you're still alive today. So you have 100% survival rate up to this point. So remember that. Don't discount what you've already been through as you're struggling to continue through whatever you're going through. So, yeah. So you deserve credit for all the bad days you've gotten yourself through. Remember that. And that will go on the fridge. The fridge, I'm curious to see how long it's going to take before the fridge is full. I have a whole bunch up there right now, so that's cool. So, Needlework Expo. Give me just 1 second. I need to clear my throat. The pollen is coming out, and I'm like extra congested this morning. So, Needlework Expo was last weekend, Saturday through Monday. It was a very different experience for me. So I can't remember. I feel like I've said this 100 times in the last couple of weeks, but I can't remember if I said it here for you all. So when I was younger, my brother used to do gaming conventions all the time. So we're talking like Magic the Gathering, collectible card games, board games, role-playing games, stuff like that. So he's been in the gaming industry as a retailer for almost my entire life. And he's had a game shop, like a hobby shop, since I was 11 or even younger. So this is, this is the kind of thing that I grew up with. And when I was in my teens and early 20s, I would go to some of these conventions and, help him run his booth and stuff. And I also have been to some wholesaler conventions or retailer summits with him. So he was the business owner and I was the assistant buyer, and we would go talk to wholesalers and stuff like that. So I've been in this kind of environment before, but in a very different industry. Because cross stitch is nothing like the gaming industry. There are some things that are similar, but it's a very different vibe. The whole vibe is different. Because when you're a retailer in the cross stitch industry, going to one of these kinds of wholesale events, you're really talking to artists and designers, or designers who are artists. That's who you're going to talk to, because there's a handful of large distributors of accessories and fabrics and things like that. But for the most part, it's small independent designers, or designers who are well established and have a big library of designs and stuff. And this is who you're going to talk to and who you're going to meet. So, I'm familiar with the idea, but also have never done it as a business owner. And I have lots of social anxiety, so meeting people is a thing for me. And meeting people in a virtual environment was weird and different. And hopefully by the time this video goes up, I will have actually posted my Patreon exclusive vlog for the expo, because I did actually do a couple of recordings over the course of the weekend just to kind of talk about what had happened and my experience and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to go super deep into it here because I will have shared that on Patreon. So if you want to see that, you will have to pay into Patreon, but I don't have a tier system right now, so you can pay in at any level and you can access all of my patron-only content, but that will be going up. Like I said, hopefully today before I get Flosstube up, I will get that up. So, but yeah, so it was definitely an interesting experience. Different than anything I've done because I've never done a virtual expo, and there were a lot of good things about it. It made the shopping really efficient, and it made it easier for me to make sure that I was getting all the things that I needed, while also still getting some new things and that sort of thing without going way over my budget. Because I have impulse control issues sometimes. This is an ADHD thing, or at least I think mine is linked to the ADHD. Spending can be really chaotic, and especially in an environment like that where you're in a situation where you don't know what's going to be available and what's going to be popular and all this sort of stuff. You do have a tendency, or I would have a tendency, to just kind of spend, and then after the fact go, oh my goodness, I didn't actually have that much money to spend. But the way that it was set up made it very easy for me to keep track of what I had purchased, what I had ordered, from whom, how much, and I stayed about $20 within budget, so I'm pretty proud of myself. I did overspend a little bit, and part of that is because I learned Sunday, that one of the designers is actually based in Henrico, Virginia. So she is probably 10 minutes away from where I work when I'm in the office. And so, of course, I had to chat with her. Her name is, excuse me, Becky Noland of Lucy Beam. And it was super exciting to talk to her and know that there's a designer right here in the Richmond area. And through talking to her, I found out that she is actually, her daughter is Lapin Loops on Etsy. And Lapin Loops, I've shown her fabric here before. She's a fantastic dyer. And it was so funny because I was talking to Becky and I was telling her about supporting a local, and I was like, I actually found a dyer in Richmond, and I was so excited, and she's like, well, with that, and I couldn't think of the name off the top of my head, and so she was like, would that happen to be Lapin Loops? And I was like, yes, that's it, that's the dyer. And she's like, that's my daughter. Small world, y'all, small world. So, I was talking to her about the fact that ultimately I want to have a brick and mortar because we don't have an LNS anywhere in this area. There's a couple of needlepoint shops not far from where Becky lives, but we have no cross-stitch shops. There's nowhere here in the Richmond or Tri-Cities area that actually caters to cross stitchers, and we need that. We desperately need that, because needlepoint is a whole different craft, and that's no shade. It's, you know, it's its own thing. Cross stitch and needlepoint are not at all the same thing, and for the most part, the supplies and the accessories and things that you use for cross stitch and needlepoint are very, very different. So it's great that there's 2 needlepoint shops, but um, you know, that's not going to support us cross stitchers. It's just not. So that's something that I want to work towards in the future. And, you know, I had some great conversations about that. Becky very generously offered, once I get an LNS up and running, when and if, she offered basically to loan me all of her model stitches for all of her designs, because she has nowhere to put them. They just sit in boxes because she doesn't have a display room or anything to put them up in. They travel with her sometimes when she's doing shows and stuff, but you know, they don't have a place to live. So an LNS would give them a place to live, and her designs are awesome. So some of her charts will be coming to the Etsy shop very, very soon, as soon as they arrive. And I'm excited about that because she has this like primitive sort of, um, what is the word I'm looking for? A more traditional looking style, but she has a quirky humor to it. So it's, in that respect, it's similar to Michelle's work, Michelle Garrett of Betty Stitchy. It's similar where it looks like it's more traditional cross stitching designs, but when you actually read it, it's kind of snarky and funny. So yeah, I really appreciated her sense of humor. So I'm excited to share that. So that was one of the biggest things that came out of the expo. Got lots and lots of patterns from folks that pre-ordered. Thank you all, everyone who pre-ordered. I see you all. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I'm hoping to include some surprises in your packages. It'll just depend on how things show up when they show up. But yeah, so I had a ton of pre-orders, which made it possible for me to buy new stuff and buy stuff from some designers that I don't normally carry or haven't had a chance to carry. I also set up an auto ship with Summer House Stitchworks for the Fragments in Time series going forward, which is going to be awesome because I somehow managed to miss it when my distributors get those. I'm somehow missing that new releases are coming out. So I have signed up for an auto ship on that, so I will get an email directly from Beth Seal at Summer House Stitchworks when a new part of that is released, and then she'll send them to me automatically, and I'll get them up in the Etsy shop, and that'll be very exciting. I don't know if y'all like those as much as I do, but I think they're awesome. And the new one is From the Sea, I believe, or Tales from the Sea. This year's theme is Tales from the Sea, and there's some really awesome pieces with that. So that was Needlework Expo. Got to talk to got to talk to a lot of designers, meet a lot of folks. I did chat with various designers in one of the happy hours after the show. So chatted a little bit with Karen from Meridian Designs and Misty Purcell from Luminous Fiber Arts and Erin Houston of Autumn Lane Stitchery. And I know it sounds like I'm name dropping, but you know, these are just the folks that were they happen to be in the chat. I ended up in the Gen X chat because I kept going into different rooms so they were all empty. And so I pop into the Gen X chat because I'm Gen X, and there's everybody. That's where everybody was. And Abby from Top Knot Stitchery, or Top Knot Stitcher Shop. So yeah, I mean, it was a great way to connect with folks whose names that I've known, but I haven't had a chance to like actually speak to them. Not quite the same as actually meeting in person, but it does make me really excited for Nashville next year. So hopefully, it seems like we're really well on track to actually be back to in-person things by next year. So March of next year, we should have actual Needlework Expo, not Needlework Expo, Nashville Needlework Market. I always forget if it's it's not Needle Market, I think it's Needlework Market. Anyway, so Nashville Needlework Market and Needlework Expo are 2 separate events. The plan going forward, Nashville Needlework Market is usually run by Yarn Tree, which is one of the cross-stitch distributors. Needlework Expo was something that was organized by Janice Note of the Noteworthy Needle this year to kind of fill that space and give folks a way to get together, even though Nashville got canceled due to COVID. So The plan going forward is that Nashville will retain its space in March. It's always been in March. It will continue to be in March, and hopefully next year it'll be in person. And then Needlework Expo will take place possibly virtually in September. So we'll have two retailer wholesaler events per year going forward, maybe, which would be kind of awesome. So March releases and September releases. It sounds like a good idea to me. So, so, yep, that's Nashville. That's Needlework Expo. Let me get it all confused. And for more info on that, definitely check out Patreon. I will put up my my little vlog for that over there. So. But yeah, I'm excited. Stuff has already started arriving. I have my Lindy Stitches patterns charts that I ordered from Expo. They arrived yesterday. So, and I think there's 2 or 3 more packages that should be arriving today. So hopefully, depending on who's ordered what, hopefully packages will actually start going out by Monday, pre-orders, which will be really, really awesome because that'll be a lot earlier than I had expected to be able to ship for folks. So, also, excuse me. Also, as charts arrive, and as I have get orders filled and have additional charts for sale, I'll start reworking those listings on Etsy so that they will look more like my regular listings instead of these compilation pre-order listings. And I'll be changing the processing times and that sort of stuff. So once I actually have patterns in hand, I can change those listing times so that, you know, if there was something at Expo that you didn't pre-order that you're interested in, you know, you'll be able to purchase that and know that it'll be there in, you know, 3 to 5 days, USPS depending. So I can't control USPS. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I also I have some new and exciting things coming to the shop. I'm not going to talk about them quite yet because it's going to be a little while before they actually come in, and it's just a little toe in the water. But you know, it's something that I'm really excited to be able to share with you all. Once I start getting once I get the majority of the things that I have ordered in, I'll either do a separate video or I'll do a segment here on Flosstube where I kind of show you all the things that came out of Expo. So look for that in the future. But yeah, a little note while I'm talking about USPS and shipping. So I know, I don't know how many of my Dinky Dyes Silk of the Month subscribers actually watch Flosstube. I know a couple of you do because I know your names. I know a few of you are Silk of the Month subscribers. A quick note for you all, if you're waiting on your packages, those have not shipped yet. And I'll explain why. So normally I send out Silk of the Month by the 5th. I knew that I was probably going to run late on that this month because of Expo, because Expo happened like Saturday right after I would have shipped. However, there's been a significant issue in the shipping of the silks that I order from Dinky Dyes for Silk of the Month. So I placed my order a month ago today. With Dinky Dyes. Now, this is nothing against Dinky Dyes. They have done nothing wrong. So I placed my order February 12th, February 13th. The order was fulfilled February 17th, just like it should have been. So it was shipped February 17th, and it arrived in Las Vegas at the distribution center. And there it has sat since February 17th. The last tracking information I had was February 20th, saying that the package was in transit, arriving late, and there's been no further update. Now, keep in mind, Kathy, lovely woman at Dinky Dyes, she sends everything priority mail. Priority mail is supposed to be delivered usually within 3 to 4 business days for domestic packages. Yeah, so February 20th, y'all. So the package is somewhere in Las Vegas, near Las Vegas, and there it has sat. I've gotten no information from USPS. I've submitted several inquiries. Apparently the way USPS works is that you submit an inquiry, and regardless of where your package came from, they send the inquiry to your local post office. Now, explain to me how that makes sense when the issue is not with my post office, the issue is with where the package is now. So rather than sending it to Las Vegas, where it was last scanned in, they sent it to my local post office. And what are they going to do? They don't, you know, so the first thing they did was they called me and let me know how how tracking scans work. It's like, thanks, I know, I've been tracking things for a year now. I understand what scans to look for. The problem is it hasn't been scanned since February 20th, and I need this package. Um, my last interaction with the local post office was for them to try and send a message to Las Vegas to see what was going on. Now, around that time was when the entire country was experiencing a lot of winter weather. That was when Texas was having the awful, or when the issues in Texas started with all the power outages and the water outages and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know if that's part of the problem, is that maybe part of Las Vegas was affected by this as well. But we're going on 3 weeks since it was scanned, and that's unconscionable to me. So, anyway, my point in all of this is that the March Dinky Dyes, even though I ordered them to be here in plenty of time, are still in limbo. Now, I've already ordered April's colors. Theoretically, they'll actually be here in the next couple of days. I need to check tracking today. I was nervous yesterday because the tracking showed it departed Las Vegas, but it now says in transit. Now, it's only said in transit for like 24 hours, so probably we're okay. But my thinking is for you folks who are getting Silk of the Month is that I'm assuming April's going to be here a lot sooner. The April colors are going to be here a lot sooner than the March colors. So for March, I will actually send you April's colors, and then hopefully by April, March will March's colors will be here, or I will have had them replaced, one or the other. And so I'll actually send out the colors will be flipped, which probably won't matter much to most folks, but it depends on how. If you're like me and you're collecting the catalog and the whole point is that you're getting things in alphabetical order, it might bother you a little bit that they're out of alphabetical order. And I apologize for that. But with this package lost in the mail, and it was a large order, it wasn't just my Silk of the Month, it was a lot of other stuff that I was trying to re-up for the shop. So it's a large order I'm waiting on, and I don't have the funds right now to just reorder that on the assumption that it's not going to arrive. I'm going to work with Kathy in the next week or so to see what can be done. But I figure the best solution is since the April colors are probably going to be here very quickly, I will go ahead and ship those out, and then once the March colors come in, I will ship those out so that hopefully everything will be fine by the time we get to May's installment, hopefully. The other thing I'm going to do is I am going to, for April, I'm going to, what is the word? I'm going to give everybody free shipping in April. So normally I charge around $3.50 for shipping for the Silk of the Month for domestic packages. So for April's Silk of the Month, to apologize for the delay and all the stuff that's going on, everybody will get free shipping. So that'll save you a little bit of money. So hopefully that'll make up for all the wackiness. And certainly if March's colors come in this week, around the same time that April's will, I will probably ship everything together, and you'll get billed for April later, and I'll worry about it later. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so I just wanted to give that heads up. I've been meaning to email everybody, but I don't have an easy way to do that, to do an email blast. So I thought I would just mention it here before I get a chance to get the emails out to everybody. Part of it was I've been trying to figure out what it is I'm actually going to do and what I can promise and what I can offer and that sort of thing. So I came up with that yesterday, and I think that's a decent solution. So hopefully that will make everybody feel better, make everybody happier. So I know several of the folks, probably actually all the Silk of the Month folks who watch this, I think you were all expecting your Silk of the Months to come with your pre-order stuff for Expo anyway, so you weren't expecting your silks yet. So and if that's the case, then but I did want to give that heads up. So okay, so that's Happy Mail, Needlework Expo, Dinky Dyes issues. Y'all, please help me send out some energy in the universe for that package to arrive, because I have a lot of money tied up in that package and I really need it to just show up. Can it just show up? I've had issues with USPS, but this is by far the worst and most frustrating. And a lot of it is because I have customers relying on things to be shipped out at a certain time. And even though I tried really hard to plan and to be certain, because priority mail generally only takes like a week, and I gave it 3 weeks, and yeah, anyway. So yeah, I'm very frustrated with that, and I really just want that package to arrive. So anyway, what have I been watching? I realized last week I've been remiss because I don't think I've mentioned, maybe once, but probably not even that often, WandaVision on Disney Plus. Maybe I've mentioned it. I can't remember. My brain is Swiss cheese. So yeah, WandaVision ended last Friday. Season finale, series finale last Friday. If you have not watched it, you totally should. Um, it is so it's been on Disney Plus because that's where all the Marvel stuff is right now, and it is designed to tie, or I think the main purpose of having the show, or the main thing about the show, is that it's meant to tie Avengers Endgame in. It's meant to be a connector between Avengers Endgame and the upcoming Doctor Strange movie, the second Doctor Strange movie. So it's tying things together, leading us into the next phase. Originally, WandaVision was scheduled to happen and then have Doctor Strange immediately release, or release within a week or a month of having WandaVision finish. Unfortunately, COVID. So I think Doctor Strange is delayed at least another year or so. I think we'll get it in 2022, which is really unfortunate because I love Doctor Strange and I need another Doctor Strange movie. But yeah, WandaVision, in and of itself, regardless of the connections and how it leads into one thing, was really good. It was really, really enjoyable. It took a minute. It took a minute for me to get into it because the premise of the show, or the way that you enter into this particular little show, is that Wanda and Vision are stuck in a 50s sitcom. And there's only 9 episodes, I think, and almost all of the first one is spent just in the 50s sitcom. Now, we know, as people who, assuming you watch the Marvel Universe stuff, we know as fans of the Marvel Universe that this is not what's really happening, that something else is going on behind the scenes. So, as a viewer who knows all of this going in, for them to spend 30 minutes basically just reinventing a sitcom, not even reinventing, but just rehashing a 50s sitcom, was very frustrating to me. But it was so worth it to stick around after that episode. So it takes 3 or 4 episodes before you really get that, boom, this is what is happening moment. But it's totally worth it. The show is fantastic. It's phenomenal. Special effects are awesome. I love Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany plays Vision. He is one of my favorite actors, and Vision is one of my favorite characters, especially Vision as portrayed by Paul Bettany. So all of that is awesome. There's also a lot of really great supporting characters and actors, and Elizabeth Olsen, who I only like. I was today years old when I found out that Elizabeth Olsen is related to the Olsen twins, Mary Kate and Ashley. She's their older sister. Who knew? So anyway, but yeah, the show is phenomenal, and really at its heart, if you're not a Marvel Universe fan, if that's not something that you're specifically looking for, it's still worth a watch because it's a really good exploration of love and grief, and dealing with grief from losing someone that really matters to you a lot. And I'm always interested in how folks in television and movies deal with that topic. So a lot of really awesome moments. There's at least one quote that I want to try to turn into a cross stitch pattern. So. But it's a fantastic show. I highly recommend it. Certainly, if you're into superheroes and you're into Marvel at all, you have to watch it. But even if you're not, I think it's worth the watch. Just for the element of dealing with loss and grief and that kind of stuff. I think they did some really great stuff. And I'm trying to remember which episode. Like, if you're only going to watch one episode and you're there for that specific thing, I want to say that episode 6 is the episode to watch, or maybe it's 7. It's somewhere closer to the end where things really start to build towards that finale. But yeah, there's some awesome moments, and it's a fantastic show. So you should totally check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. I know probably a lot of folks were like, why should I watch this? It's some silly sitcom, but it's really good, and it's important to the larger universe. So that's the thing that I've been watching. I probably haven't talked about it because I've been watching it week to week instead of binging it, and I usually only think about things that I'm binging when I'm talking about it here. Other stuff I've watched, a lot of random junk. There's a lot of bad TV. So I've tried several different shows recently. Nothing is hitting right. Like Bridgerton was good. Even though it's not normally the subject matter that I would watch, it was enjoyable. It sucked me in. It was engaging, and I can't find anything that feels like that right now that I have. That's a show that I haven't already watched. So I tried getting into. And this is the third time I've tried getting into Tell Me a Story, which is on CBS All Access and or which is now Paramount Plus, and it's a story or it's a show based on like fairy tales that have turned into modern day lives, sort of. I'm not explaining that well. So you know how Once Upon a Time was like literally fairy tale characters living their lives because they had been pulled into the real world. This is not that. This is more like um, real life modern day events that sort of um, parallel or parody fairy tale stories, and it's these interconnected stories. So I think I've gotten like halfway through the first season. So I don't know if the second season deals with different fairy tales, but the first season ties in elements of Three Little Pigs, Hansel and Gretel, and Red Riding Hood. So there's characters who, and some of it's very obvious and some of it's really not obvious, but there's characters who represent Red Riding Hood, there's characters who represent Hansel and Gretel and the Three Little Pigs, and then, their stories sort of hint at the fairy tales that they came from, and you're starting to figure out by episode 6 or something, you're starting to figure out that there's all this interconnectedness between these three groups of folks. But I don't know how engaging it really is. I think part of it is because a lot of it wraps around this bank robbery that happened, and I'm just not. I don't know. It's not hitting me. It's not hitting me. So I don't think they've made any new episodes. I think it started in 2018, and there's 2 seasons, which means that there's a gap. So COVID may have ended that series. Another show that I started watching Resident Alien yesterday, and I can't decide. I can't decide about it. It's interesting. So Resident Alien stars Alan Tudyk, who is one of my favorite actors of all time. You might remember him as Wash from Firefly. You may also remember him as the Squire from the movie A Knight's Tale. Wow, words just disappear out of my brain these days. So you might remember him from A Knight's Tale as well. He's a fantastic actor. He does all kinds of stuff. He voiced one of the androids in one of the more recent Star Wars movies as well. He's a fantastic voice actor. He was also in Doom Patrol. He played the big baddie in the first season of Doom Patrol. So yeah, I mean, he's just been in all kinds of stuff. He's fantastic. Love him, love him. So he stars as this alien who has crash landed on Earth. And he has a mission he's trying to fulfill, and of course, the crash landing has inhibited his ability to do that. So yeah. Excuse me. So there he is on Earth trying to pretend to be a human, and wackiness ensues. And he's in a like tiny little town in Colorado. So there are some really interesting elements to the show. Not the least of which is that one of the main characters is an indigenous woman, and they actually work in some of her culture. Just sort of as a matter of course. And this is another thing where there's an element of dealing with loss and grief right at the beginning of the series. I've only watched 2.5 episodes. And they actually bring in some of her cultural stuff with the dealing with the loss and grief, which I appreciate. It's a little vague because they're not saying what nation she is from, and maybe she doesn't know. I haven't watched enough of the show to know. But so it's kind of vague and not connected to a specific group's culture, just sort of like indigenous culture in general. But it's interesting. I like that they're bringing that element in. But there's other stuff that's just kind of weird, so we'll see how it goes. I also started watching this show called Good Trouble. which was apparently originally on Freeform. So I don't know. I don't have good associations with shows from Freeform. So one of the biggest or worst examples in my recent history is there's a series called what is it called? It was called Shadow Hunters when they made the show on Freeform, but it's oh, I can't think of the title of the series now. It's a book series by Cassandra Clare, and I've read most of the books. And they're a little weird. They're young adult fiction. Um, they have an interesting story, but there's some weird elements and stuff. And they had made a movie out of the first book ages ago, and the movie was actually pretty decent. And then City of Bones was the first book. Um, Not His Dark Materials. What is it? That's gonna it's gonna bug me. Anyway, the book series had a movie made out of it several years ago. It was really good, or at least decent. But then they decided to make this television series called Shadow Hunters, and really all they did was keep the character names and sort of a vague general idea of the the background world, and then the rest of it they just kind of did whatever they want to, and they turned it into this weird, like, pseudo sexual young adult. I don't know, it was just weird. The show was bad. It was very bad. I watched like half a season. I couldn't stand it anymore. So that's my experience with Freeform. So Freeform made this show called Good Trouble, and the supposed premise is that these young adults living in a communal, intentional community living situation are working for social justice and political change. That's kind of the like blurb that Hulu put up there for me. But what it really is like some overprivileged, like, and completely unrealistic young adults somehow getting these fantastic jobs in LA, and also living in this like communal loft space over top of a theater in downtown LA. And then like some of the stories are fairly realistic, and some of the stories are just like, what? Like, that's not possible. Um, but I keep watching it because there are some really good um, uh, themes dealing with actual social issues in the real world. So the first season, I'm about halfway through the second season. The first season deals like the main story arc, or the background story arc, is actually this federal court case about a young black man who was gunned down by police when he went to reach for his cell phone. Like, that's a story we've heard a lot over the last few years. And the interesting thing is, the show started in 2018, but it really could have happened. They really could have put it on the air in June of this year. I mean, it's so much of it. It's mind-boggling to think how much of that is exactly the same today, in a very scary and sad way. And I guess that's the experience that a lot of people of color have had for, well, certainly more than the last 5 years, but certainly since BLM formed, you know, the same things keep happening. But anyway, so this is the background story arc that's happening, is various characters involved in various ways around this case. So that's, and so that's very real. That's very accessible and understandable. And I kind of like the way that they're talking about all of the things and the way that they affect different groups of people. There's also a lot of stuff happening with folks having different gender identities and folks having different sexualities. And there's some really real um, and useful and accessible things that are happening in those pieces of the story. But there's a lot of really silly, unrealistic, overly tropey kind of stuff, especially with the white characters, like the cisgendered heterosexual white characters, and there's two of them. The stuff that's going on with them is just like, can we just remove those characters, because those are not interesting, and that's not. Can we just focus on the people of color? Can we focus on the folks with different gender identities, because those stories are meaningful and fulfilling, and then these other stories, because like one specific character is doing that thing where they always do, where the super pretty, super privileged girl who has everything has to, constantly ask herself whether she wants to be with this guy or with that guy. Which guy should she be with? Both of them want her. She wants them both. Which one should, like, really? Really? I'm so over it. I'm so over it. There's so many more interesting things we can do besides have one character have two love interests, and which one is there? Which one are they going to go with? Because first and foremost, you know, monogamy is not for everybody, and so the solution doesn't always have to be which one will I choose. The situation could be, let's work out a situation where I can be with everybody. That's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally fine. But there are other ways of being than having to do this silly trope where, who am I going to be with? Am I going to be with this guy or am I going to be with that guy? And of course, one is the like successful business guy, like the stand-up business guy. The other one is the soulful artist. Like, really? So, if that were the only thing going on in the show, I would have left it a long time ago. I would have watched like 3 episodes and been done. But there's lots of really interesting things going on with other characters. So there's one character who's gay, but she hadn't come out to her parents, and so we deal with that. And it's sadly in a very tangential way to the rest of the story, but it's still happening. And the scene where she actually does talk to her parents about it was incredibly moving. There's also that character is now dating a person who identifies as non-binary, and the person identified as female when they first started dating. So they're dealing with that transition where that person has decided that really they feel more comfortable with they them pronouns instead of she her pronouns, and they're working through that transition together and navigating a relationship where one partner is only just recently out as gay and the other partner is dealing with gender identity issues. And that's really cool. Like, that part is really awesome. All of the dealing with racial issues, I think they're doing a decent job. Now, I can only speak from my perspective. Obviously, I'm not a person of color, so I can't speak from the perspective of folks of color to know whether this is really indicative of their experience, but it seems more genuine to me. So anyway, so that's another show I'm watching. I just realized I've been talking for 45 minutes and we haven't talked any cross stitch. Okay, so that's what I'm watching. That's Needlework Expo. That's Happy Mail. That's all the things. Let's talk about some cross stitch because I still have a lot of cross stitch stuff to talk to you about. So, I worked on two things this week, two cross stitch things this week. Actually, I worked on model stitch some over the weekend, I think, and I need to work on it some this week too. I haven't touched it, or I shouldn't say I haven't touched it, but I haven't put in significant work since last week. So I need to focus a little bit on that this weekend. But I got a really great start on my whip go goals. So let me show you this. This is a 30-inch lock scroll frame. So if you ever wondered what a 30-inch lock scroll frame looks like, this is what this looks like. I realized after I got this all set up, this is my Linen and Threads 2020 sampler, mystery sampler. I think I actually only need a piece of fabric 22 by 22. Excuse me. And that includes the framing allowance. So probably I can take this out of this and cut it down and have a much more manageable piece. So I probably will do that, especially because I don't think y'all can tell, but there's like a good ½ inch of rolled fabric there. That is a lot of fabric rolled up there. So anyway, so this is my Linen and Threads piece. I put in about an hour on this week. So basically what I stitched was this little piece down here. So this purpley blue flower and then this part of the vine coming up. So an hour doesn't get you a whole lot on a piece like this. So I still have 4 hours to go for my whip go goal on this piece. So probably this will be a large focus for this week and the next week. But yeah, so that is that. And I will say, I like the look of it. Like, I'm really liking it when I sit back and look at it, especially like the threads and trying to, okay, there we go. Especially the threads and everything. But when I'm stitching, I'm actually not enjoying it as much as I would like because I'm running into the same issue with this one that I did with Dreaming Girl. Boop. Okay. Same thing that with Dreaming Girl. So this is a 32 count Lugana, and it's been dyed by Misty of Mystic Fabrics. And I'm learning that 32 count Lugana, when it is dyed with any kind of process that involves heat, it does shrink a lot. It, or at least it makes the fabric or the fibers in the fabric get really tight. So a 32 count Lugana that's been hand dyed using a heated dye method tends to feel more like a 36 count fabric because the fibers are so tight. So stitching 2/2 is not as comfortable as I would like. And it might be because I've been working with a lot of linen and stuff lately too, but I know that 32 count Jobelin doesn't feel the same. It's much easier and looks much nicer to me to stitch 2/2 on 32 count Jobelin than on 32 count Lugana. So, and I do suspect that it has to do with the heating during the dyeing process. Now, when I dye fabrics, I've only done ice dyeing. Ice dyeing doesn't require any heat whatsoever, and so I don't think the fabric shrinks like it does with methods that require hot dye. And I think most fabric dyers right now are actually using methods that require hot dye. So the fabrics are shrinking a little bit. So I may be, at least when I'm purchasing Lugana going forward, I may be purchasing 28 count Lugana when it's dyed by other folks, or just sticking with Jobelin, because Jobelin doesn't seem to have that same issue with the shrinkage. So anyway, so it, like I say, it looks good. When I look at it, I like the finished look of it, but the stitching, it feels icky because it's too tight. It's too tight, and I feel like I should just be using one thread. But I've already done so much stitching that I'm like, it would look weird if I start stitching with just one thread now. So I kind of have to stick with two threads, or I have to start over. And I'm just not, I've done too much. I'm not willing to start over. So anyway, that is Linen and Threads. And that is box number 24, I believe, on my would go board. And then most of my work this week has been on this piece. I'm trying not to let you see it too soon. And I've worked so much on this piece that I actually finished it. So this is WIPCO goal number 10, box number 10, I think. And last month was 4 and 20. This month is 10 and 24. So I've actually finished this. So this is my second WIPCO finish for the year. Very, very excited. Didn't take me nearly as long as Baba Yaga did, but this is stitch number 5, y'all. Let me hold it so you can actually see the entire thing. So, yeah, I'm super proud of this. As for me and my house, we shall serve the giant head. Hi, Luna. Everybody say hi to Luna. What you want? What you doing? You gonna be on camera? Okay. As for me and my house, we shall serve the giant head. So the giant head, if you're not familiar, this is something from Rick and Morty. There was this episode, and I can't remember what the episode's called, but this giant head appears in the sky and says, "Show me what you got," and basically forces Earth to be part of this galactic song battle. A television show, like an intergalactic television show, where each planet has to come up with a new and interesting song that appeases the giant heads, because there's not just the one giant head, there's a whole bunch of giant heads. So that's the premise of the episode. It's one of my favorite episodes. It's where the song Get Swifty comes from. So yeah, I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan, and when I saw this finish for this particular stitch, I was like, yeah, that's my finish. And the funny thing is, I think when I purchased this pattern, I purchased it in one of Stitch's vault, really, like the older stitch patterns that they have, they only release at special times during a stitch along. And so when I purchased it, I wanted to do the giant head, but I don't think I was at the skill level. So when I actually started going back to stitching this, I realized I was missing several of the colors for the giant head. So apparently when I planned this, I was going to do a much simpler finish, a much simpler custom on the bottom, because I didn't buy the colors at all for this. So I had to make a trip to Michael's to get this orangey color. And then I had made a trip to Michael's. I bought a handful of DMC because I bought some stuff for other projects. And I got home and realized that I hadn't looked at what DMC were required for the back stitching. Now, luckily, I had the darker color for the back stitching, so that's outlining his eyes and his nose and his mouth. But there's a lighter color that you can't really see very well that I did not have on hand. And I was like, I'm not going back to Michael's for one skein of floss, one skein. So I looked up I looked up comparable substitutes and used a substitute for that, which I think actually turned out pretty well. But yeah, so it's finished. It's finished, y'all. So this is my third finish of 2021. It is my second finish for WIPCO, and I am so jazzed about the finishes. Like, I'm on a finishing high. I'm like, what's the next thing I have that's close to a finish? Because I need to finish a thing. So I may actually pull out another WIPCO goal early and just start working on it to finish it. Because like I'm like, let's finish all the things. Let's finish the things now. So yeah. So this hasn't been my favorite thing to work on, not because of the pattern, but because of this fabric. This fabric's awful. So this is. This is a straight up like 18 count Aida, but you can tell it's super stiff, is the word I'm looking for. So it's very stiff and difficult to work with, and I was having a lot of trouble with the needle not coming all the way through the fabric and all kinds of stuff. And then it's been so long since I did this kind of back stitching. It has lots of like quarter stitches and 3/4 stitches and long half stitches. I forget what M calls them, but there's some pretty particular stitches that M uses for things like this, which is why I shied away from it in the beginning, because I had not done Golden Girls yet, and I had not done House yet to be able to do those more complicated stitches, which just goes to show how much I've learned over the last year and a half, because I would not have done the head. I obviously didn't plan on doing the head when I got the pattern. I didn't buy the colors for it, but I just dived right in because I'm like, whatever. It's a tiny head. I could do it. It's no problem. So when I started stitching this, I was just using my regular needle because it had been so long since I did Golden Girls or anything that required a lot of heavy back stitching that I forgot it's really useful to have a pointy needle for that. So I did all of the pale yellow, that main yellow color. I did all of that. I was really frustrated and like, oh, this fabric sucks. I hate doing this. And then when I went back to do the rest of it, I actually got my sharp needle. I'm like, oh, this is so much easier. So at that point, it was much, much easier. Got through it much, much more quickly. And then finished up the text and that bottom border yesterday. So very, very excited to be finished with that. Now I have to I have to figure out how to fully finish it, FFO it. And I don't know. I'm still thinking some kind of like puffy, not a flat fold, but similar to a flat fold. So I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just not, for whatever reason, I'm not super into just framing stuff at this point, because I guess I've seen enough different kinds of finishes that I just want to do different stuff. But yeah, something has to happen to this so that I can hang it up, because I'm very proud of this. So this is the fourth stitch that I have finished. So I still have Golden Girls. I haven't fully finished them yet, but I have Home is Where the Fur Babies Are. That is framed. And I have House that I finished last year too. So I have several pieces. I need to actually put them up as a series in the house. So I'll have to fully finish this and Golden Girls and then figure out where to put them. So that's very exciting. So plans for this weekend. This weekend is WIPGO weekend. I've already finished one of my WIPGO goals. In fact, I blew that out of the water too, because my goal was 5 hours and I did 10 or maybe 15 hours and I finished it. It's done. So I have nothing to have a goal for WIPGO weekend. Still got 4 hours left on linen and threads, so that will probably be my main WIPGO based thing for this weekend. I think I'm also going to pull this guy back out. So this is, you can't tell, but this is Pandemic, Long Dog Samplers Pandemic. So I'm getting the itch to start working on this. So I'll probably pull this out in the next few days and also work on my my model stitch. So those are current plans. I don't have any plans beyond that, but I do want to jump in on monochromatic-ish March, and yeah, so I'm feeling really good. I've already got one whip go goal accomplished. I may once I once I hit this goal on linen and threads, I may pull out maybe my Barbara Anna the key. I may pull that out because I know I don't have a ton of stitches left on it, so that would be a pretty good finish. I've also got Welcome Tiny Overlord that would be pretty quick to finish. So yeah, I might just get on a finishing frenzy. We'll see. I don't know how much stitching time I'm going to have this weekend. Essential Spouse is home this weekend. He's not working, so we'll probably be spending a lot of time. I know that on Saturday he wants to try to see if we can go see the stepkid. So we just have to check with their mom. We're at a point now where their mom is saying that that we could possibly meet if we go to a park. And mom will bring them over and drop them off, and we'll hang out outside with masks, socially distanced and stuff. So mom is rightly so has been concerned about COVID. So we actually haven't seen my stepkid at all since last March because of COVID and health concerns and stuff like that. In addition to the fact that stepkid lives with their grandparents, so there's elderly folks in the house, and I don't know what their health conditions are, but they're older. There's also my stepkid's older brother, who is half brother. So anyway, my stepkid's older brother also has significant health issues and is very immunocompromised. So there's been a lot of not seeing them physically during this time because of all of that. So this would be our first opportunity to actually see them since COVID started. So that's exciting. So that may be something that we do on Saturday, especially because the weather's supposed to be good, I think. So it's, like I said, it's our first opportunity to actually see them since COVID. So that would be really good. That's the main thing this weekend. If cross stitching happens, that would be great. But I don't expect there to be a lot of stitching this weekend just because there's other stuff going on. Yeah. So that's that. Let's get into, because I forgot last time, we're already at an hour. But I forgot last time to talk about purchases that had come in. So let's get into that, and then I will let you go. If you're sitting there crafting or doing other stuff, then I guess this will be a good video for you because there's just lots of talking this time. So I have a bunch of stuff to show you because I had some stuff last week, and then new stuff has arrived this week. So because that's how things go. So let's start with last week's stuff. And let me just take this off of the thing. So the Frosted Pumpkin has a new stitch along coming out. I think the stitch along doesn't actually start until April, but I could be misremembering. So I got the kit for the new stitch along from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. The stitch along is called the Cozy Cafe. It's going to be super cute. And in addition to the kit, I got this cute little Notions bag because this time, to go along with the kit, they also had a macaron-shaped needle minder, which I had to get in on the second release of those because they ran out so fast the first time. So that is coming. It's in the mail. It's on the way to me. But I did get one of the little Notions bags. Sugarloaf and Jack's Cozy Cafe. Good to the last stitch. So it's super cute. It comes with this little coffee cup shaped resin charm. I can get it to, there we go. Sort of. So it's got the little charm on there, and it's just a cute little bag. Cute little canvas bag. So I got that in addition to the kit, and the kit is not going to look super fancy to you because it's basic. It's a lot of DMC. Look at all that DMC. I love the way they package their stuff because it's always a rainbow, and then there's all the coffee colors on the back. So it comes with I got the 28 casual linen from Picture This Plus. This color is called Opal, and I'm just going to let you look at it through the package because I don't want to take it out of the package quite yet. But yeah, a nice sort of coffee stain kind of color. And they also included this time these stickers. Look at a shiny sticker, and it has beads. There's going to be beads on this. Now, I don't really like stitching with beads, but there's not very many. You can see there's not very many beads, so that probably won't be too much of a pain. And they included my favorite 26 Bowen needles, my favorite needles ever, and also some Mill Hill beading needles, long number 10 needles, which are really good for beading if you have to bead. So I'm very excited about that. Like I said, I think the first pattern drop is next month, but I will double check on that. I meant to check on that before I got on here, but y'all know how I do. So that came, very excited. Like I said, my needle minder to go with that is coming as well. Let's see, I also got some floss, my Color and Cotton floss. So I get the bright colors and also the primitive colors. And can I just say, these are gorgeous colors this month. I am loving this springtime rainbow that's happening right here. I love the way they package these. Can you focus, please? Thank you. Love the way they package these. And then here's this blue is awesome. I like that blue, Prussian blue. So let's look at these. I love my Color and Cottons too. Pardon. So let's get these out of the bag. And I think we're back on time. So these are, okay, these are actually January, so we're still running a little bit behind with Color and Cotton, which is totally fine. I don't care. I'm just collecting all the things that they send me, so it doesn't matter really to me how quickly they get here. So we have Mango, which is blowing out a little bit. So this is yellow with a kind of like peachy thing happening. And we've got Fairy Dust, which is a nice light pink. The sun is really coming out now, so getting these colors to come out right is going to be difficult. Excuse me. This is a beautiful purple. So this is Purple Parrot. Love that. So nice. And then we've got Sea Spray, which is a gorgeous blue. They do blues so well, I find. Color and Cotton has some fantastic blues. Aquamarine is a gorgeous, or is it ultramarine? Michelle just used it in something that she was stitching. And this is Emerald City, which isn't quite as green as I would have expected. It's actually a little bit more of a yellow green than it's coming off on camera. It looks like a blue green, but that's gorgeous. And then let's look at our primitive colors. I say ours like I'm going to share. They're mine. You can't have them. They're mine. Actually, you can have them, but you have to buy your own. Here are the primitive colors. I like that yellow. So let's see. Sandalwood. So it's sort of a golden light wood color. It's really nice. And then we've got Sedona, which is a nice driftwood kind of color. That's kind of what it looks like to me. Sort of weathered dead tree branch kind of color. And I say dead tree branch, and that doesn't sound really very pretty, but I mean, there's a certain kind of cool brown that happens with that. And this is Prussian blue. I like this blue a lot. That's really nice. Definitely a good, because it's not quite a dark navy going into this like purpley kind of gray. Really nice. I like that color. So that's the Color and Cottons. I also got some fabrics, all kinds of fabrics. So I did recently win a pattern from Brandy at Bestitch Me. So generally, anytime she does Friday Fight Night, she will do a giveaway for that week as well. So for this particular week, I won Rings of Infinity from I'm covering it. Adelaide Needleworks. So that's a pretty spiffy pattern. So I did win that. She sent that. I've got some Friday Fight Night fabrics and also February's color of the month. So we're far enough ahead now that You probably have already received your February color of the month. So I probably don't need spoiler warnings, but just in case. So this is, I get her neutral colorway in 32 count linen, and this is Sand Dollar. This is a beautiful gray. I like this a lot. So that's Sand Dollar. Kind of a silvery, cool gray. I like that. Very, very nice. I feel like this is the perfect color for something that I was looking at recently, but I can't think of what. I don't think I think it's too cool for beach dance, but I think I had also picked out, I think I was going to use Not Another Sampler, that colorway for beach dance. So that is my neutral colorway. And then for the standard colorway, I get 32 count Jobelan, which is my favorite fabric. And this colorway is called Peony, and this is really nice too. I don't know how Brandy does it month to month, coming up with these different colors. She's fantastic. So it's washing out a bit, but it's a sort of pinky purple or pinky lavender. That's a periwinkle with a kiss of blush. If you see it in person, it's got some blush undertones. It's really nice. It'd be lovely for some kind of springy kind of pattern. So there is that. And I think in the interest of time, well, maybe I'll go ahead and pull it. I'm going to end up pulling them out of the bags anyway, so I suppose there's no reason not to just go ahead and do it. So then I also have a couple of Friday night fight night pieces that I won from Brandy. So let me show those to you. This is an unnamed 32 count Jobelan. Y'all know how much I love 32 count Jobelan. But I loved this color because it's sort of like a latte kind of thing happening. And I find that this is a great colorway for a lot of different patterns. So when I saw this piece, I was like, yes, I need to have that. So got that piece. I also got, in 32 count Jobelan, a piece of Strawberry Shortcake. And I feel like I had something in mind when I picked this out, but now I can't think of what I had in mind, but I think it's still a fantastic colorway. I will find something awesome to put on this. So this is actually a 28 count Jobelan, which I almost never get. I always stick with 32 count, but that is fabulous. Look at that. Love it. That's going to be gorgeous. It's interesting to me looking at this because this is, I think, literally the first piece of 28 count Jobelan I've ever had. And it's interesting looking at how big the weave seems to me because I only have ever purchased 32 count. Also, I'm noticing that this doesn't seem quite as smooth as the 32 count. I mean, it's still smooth, but it does seem to be more, have more texture to it than the 32 count. So that's interesting. And last but not least, I got a piece of 32 count opal linen, and this piece is gorgeous. And this is another one that I really felt like I was thinking about something in particular when I purchased it. Now I can't think of what it is, but regardless, it's a gorgeous piece of linen. Look at this. Fabulous. Focus, please. There we go. Look how fabulous that is. And I like that it's a little bit lighter in one end than the other. So especially if I'm doing like smallish pieces, I could probably get 2 or 3 pieces, or 2 to 4 pieces out of 2 to 4 projects out of this one piece. And there's a lot of different things happening with the colorway, so I think that's fantastic. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. So very, very happy, as always, with my Brandy fabrics. So those are very exciting. I have a couple of pieces of fabric also that should be on the way sometime soon that I ordered specifically. So I had actually ordered a piece of um, ocean something. Um, I can't remember what the colorway is called, but it's ocean something that I had actually gotten to put Dreaming Girl on, but then I realized I had that piece of 32 count Jobelin, or not Jobelin, 32 count Lugana that was the perfect color, the exact color that I wanted to use. I had purchased that for Unicorn Tapestry from Tiny Modernist, and I decided, you know what, I can find a different piece of fabric for Unicorn Tapestry because Dreaming Girl needs to go on this fabric. So I had ordered that the new color from Brandy, but then decided to use that in the meantime. I also have a piece of That's My Jam coming because I got That's My Jam because I wanted to put that Autumn Lane Stitchery Lovebirds pattern on that, but I don't know if I'll still do that or not. But That's My Jam is a gorgeous color anyway, so it's kind of a purpley magenta kind of color. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. Those should be on the way sometime soon. Okay, one more thing for you, and then we're gonna go for the day because I got to go get some other stuff done. So I ordered something new from Caroline at Evertote. I love Evertote, and I'm just gonna try to untie this instead of cutting it. So, excuse me, my nose is itchy. So on the little thank you card, she has put my zipper pull, and the zipper pull says joy. It's very cute. I like that. So I purchased another wedge tote because y'all know how much I love wedge totes. And I also got some new Leo and Roxy threads because yeah. So and Caroline was so sweet. She actually messaged me to tell me that this is one of her favorite fabrics, and so that was really, really cool. She was happy that I had ordered that. So here's the little Notions bag. How cute is that? This is a beautiful fabric. So it's like doves across a dark background. And like I said, Caroline said that this was one of her favorite fabrics. And I think it's gorgeous. I love it. So the little Notions tote has just that sort of neutral inside. I'm just going to put the zipper pull inside. And then here's the wedge tote. It's so gorgeous. I love using these for knitting projects. It's my favorite because they have a flat bottom and they're just the right size for smallish to medium knitting projects. And so it's got this beautiful check pattern inside, or like a grid pattern inside. And you can see it will sit flat. Fantastic. Do I have, no, I don't have another wedge tote sitting right here. But yeah, so I'm very excited about this. And we were also talking, we're going to be working with Michelle Garrett at Bendy Stitchy to raise money in the next couple of months for MMIW, which is Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. So I'm going to be contributing several items, hopefully, to that cause once Michelle sets up the auctions. For that, and I know Caroline is contributing some stuff. Obviously, Michelle will be contributing some stuff, but yeah, I'm going to put in several things for that auction, and I'm very excited about that to help raise money for that cause. It's something that's very close to my heart. So yeah, and if you've seen Michelle's her rendition of Dreaming Girl, you'll know what I'm talking about as far as MMIW. So yeah, that's really cool. And then the Leo and Roxy threads. Purples. These are gorgeous. Gorgeous. So yeah, I think there's, in fact, probably very soon, there's going to be a new release of Leo and Roxy. I might have to miss out on these because I don't know if I have the funds for it. But yeah, because I just purchased something from Stephanie Webb yesterday. So this is Iris. I love irises. My mother's name was Iris, so I have a very particular connection to irises. This is Amethyst. That is really nice. We have Wisteria. Wisteria is a gorgeous flower. I don't know how prevalent it is in other parts of the country, it's actually an invasive species, but it's really, really gorgeous when it's in its full flower, and that only happens for a day or two because it comes out and it blooms ridiculously. I mean, just like everywhere, and the colors are really intensely, beautifully purple and violet, and then the next day they just, it's not even that they wilt, but like the color is only beautiful and intense for one day, and then all of a sudden they're drab and sad, and then they die. But for that one day, 1 or 2 days, they're the most gorgeous flowers. This is my funny Valentine. Oh, that's very pretty. Purple and pink combined there. And then lastly, we have Vamp, which is a really dark, it's not, it looks black, but there's undertones of purple and red in there. Very nice. So, okay, so that's Leo and Roxy, and that's my Caroline bag. I love my Caroline bags, evertote.com. But this is fantastic. I can't wait to decide on a project to put in this. So, yes. So that's what I have for you this week, folks. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you're new, then thanks so much for checking me out. Make sure you hit that like button if you liked what you saw, and definitely hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. And for anybody new or old, if you want to be notified anytime I post anything new, make sure you hit that bell. And in the meantime, I will sign off with my regular sign off and ask you all to make sure that you stay hydrated, make sure that you take all the meds that you need to take, including vitamins. Vitamins are important. And also remember that good enough is good enough. And I'll see you again next time.